Nice. I just got that.
The tag.
Yeah.
Nice. We're recording. So welcome to the Veteran Growth Podcast. Everybody that's listening, this is Robert LaFrance. He is on to some extreme things. He's somebody that I really like to watch, somebody that has goals that I really like to see within the veteran community, if you will, because I think what he's pushing for, what he's striving to educate other veterans on is just a little bit, I just feel like it's being missed in the veteran community. So, Rob, thank you again for coming on the show. It's a pleasure to have you. I hope you're having a good weekend. Tell us a little bit about, just a little bit about yourself. We already gave you an introduction, but let's talk. Why did you get into real estate? How did you get into real estate? And we'll go from there.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, for having me, it's awesome to be on the podcast. So I got out of the military 2015. I was a full-time student for a year, and I got into real estate because I was told, real estate might be great for you. And so I looked into it, and it gave me the freedom and flexibility to work how I wanted. And that's both coming from of failures and successes. I really wanted to be responsible for my own failure and success. Like, I didn't want to get punished anymore for things that were out of my control. So I was like, I knew entrepreneur was going to be my way. And then with real estate's on demand, and the flexibility and freedom of how I operate my business is what really interested me. So I've been in it for 3 years now and doing some investing. I'm a licensed agent, and yeah, it's pretty much how I got into it. It was that or lingerie designer.
Say that again?
I said it was real estate or lingerie designer. It was like a hard toss-up. I was like, what could I really enjoy doing all the time?
So we're gonna see you still probably putting out lingerie or just using real estate as a vehicle to build up that inventory, huh? That's cool though. So you said you've been in it for about 3 years, and that tells me that you started pretty much right after you got out of the military, which makes sense. Just because I know if you're active, sometimes it's hard to dive into things like real estate just because of the commitment that it takes and things like that to be successful. But what was the process? What got you started into thinking like, okay, I need to go try to do real estate? How did you get yourself sort of foot in the door? What was the first steps you took to get involved? Because I know a lot of people transitioning would probably say they like the idea of getting into it. Everybody you talk to about real estate, they've heard something, they've read a book. They're usually like, oh, yeah. How do you get veterans to understand the actual process that it takes to where they can become successful into real estate as well?
That's actually a really good question. So the biggest thing is that coming from a military background, we have we're so familiar with systems and operating procedures. Like, that is just everything that we do, whether it's weapon turnover or maintenance on your compressor. Like, there is a system for every single thing that we do. So it's 2019. No matter if it's real estate or if it's golfing, there is some type of like plan or process or system for you to get started in place, or for you to utilize and hack and create your own version so it is catered to you and makes your own brand or version of whatever it is that you're doing. So as far as real estate, I mean, it is a process within every state. You got to take your hours course, you got to pass the state or federal exams, and then you got to do your licensure and associations and all these other things. So the biggest thing if I were to tell veterans, like whether it's real estate or anything, is what do you think you're going to have the most fulfillment going into according to your goals? Like, one of the biggest things that I thought was like, okay, real freedom and flexibility. It had a lot of the things that I thought I was missing out of the military. And then I have the freedom to make as much money as I want while being entirely responsible for everything that I do. Over experience, I was like, okay, this is great, but I could use more fulfillment in this area, or I could use more time in this area with my kids, or, so over a period of time, you kind of feel things change. So you can really, you don't have to get into something that's going to be your life career right off the bat. Like, I have lots, real estate is a great career for the rest of your life. I've been doing it for 3 years. Over the last 3 years, it's almost transformed into like the strategy thing, and more tools and attributes as I've acquired over the last. I love helping people. I still love asking that question, how can I make this better and how can I help you? So now I'm starting to transform it or transfer it in and out of the real estate area in all areas of life that people are looking for. So if you're a veteran interested in getting to real estate, figure out what state, if you want to be a licensed agent or if you want to do real estate investing, because
That
then
was
you're
my
in
next
control of.
question.
Yeah. It's great being a realtor, that you're in the service industry, but if you are the type of person who work more for yourself, I would say the investing side caters to that, because you're either buying property or selling property. You're helping somebody with their financial, still in the service industry, but you're more in control instead of, okay, I need clients, and now I have to represent my clients. And, sometimes clients can say jump and ask how high, and some people don't like to work with that. So yeah.
One more little detail to that, sort of, we touched on my question, but for those who might not know sort of the technicalities, because for a long time I was under the impression that even if I wanted to privately invest in my own properties, for some reason I thought that I needed a real estate license still. So it's two different routes then, basically. Like if you want to basically just own, flip, invest, do that thing privately and like do it as more of an investor, you don't necessarily need a real estate license for that.
Right. You don't need a real estate to own and sell your own property. Now there are benefits. Now, so when you're buying a property, you want to make sure you understand your state's guidelines in the process to buying a home. Like the point of a realtor is you have that professional who does it all day, every day. So when you're at work, and you got a family and you got all these other things that you have to take care of, you don't have the time to learn the ins and outs of a proper negotiation or the real estate or the disclosures, or if there's things that are required, so that's where the professional comes in, just like any other area. If you have the time to learn how to laminate, and you're okay to deal with the learning curves of the mistakes of putting the tile down wrong or whatever, there's all that information's out there. But if you work from a 9 to 5 and have a family and you have to know the ins and outs of the state laws when purchasing or selling a property, that's where things get hairy. But to purchase a home or to sell a home, you don't need to have a real estate license. Like
Okay.
Dean Graciosi, one of my mentors, you've probably seen him on the internet. He does like the wholesaling in real estate, getting rich off and wealthy off of real estate. Wealth is an own. So
Say that one last time, you cut out. About wealth?
Oh, wealth is about owning real estate, or owning real estate is where the wealth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been doing a lot of reading, and it's one of those things that just makes too much sense to not invest in, because of the numbers, the stats, the facts, the figures of being in the game essentially are just incredible. Even regardless of what route you take, I think, as long as you have a good work ethic and you're disciplined, just like anything else, real estate can be very lucrative if you get involved. So that's one of the reasons I was excited to have you on. This is the first episode that I've really dealt with anybody that's sort of highlighted in the real estate industry, and it's something that I want to promote as much as possible. So you actually got involved. So I know the mindset was all there. Let's talk about taking actual action, and let's talk about your first purchase. I think you got your first house through a VA home loan, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you own more properties now from that first house, or have you done anything since then that is different from the VA home loan system? Or let's run through that.
Yeah. First transferred from Groton, Connecticut to Virginia Beach. I purchased my home in 2012 as a first-time home buyer. I used the VA loan. That's awesome. Like, that's zero money down. That's so helpful. That's something that a lot of people wish that they could utilize. And so I did that. And that's been my either primary residence or one of my rental properties. Since I'm actually living in it now, it's my primary residence. And then since then, I've acquired a property subject to the existing financing. And what that means is that my LLC controls the property. I had a distressed seller that owed too much on the property. She would have had to pay out of pocket if she sold it traditionally. And she didn't care about any profit from the sale of the house. So through our discussions and conversations and overall outcome is what we wanted, it came out to still help her, by my LLC owning and controlling the property. We have renters in there. They're taking care of the property. And then I just essentially the LLC manages it, collects the checks, and pays for rent or mortgage. And then the difference is what that is. And then at the end, when I sell that property, I'll actually be able to keep all the proceeds. The LLC will be able to keep all the proceeds. Mm-hmm. And I actually came to an agreement with the seller because we were both helping each other out, that when I do sell the house, I would attribute back to her a percentage. Do you know what I mean? Which oftentimes isn't practice, because it's whatever the agreement is. But I figured since we were both helping each other out, and although I am a licensed real estate agent, and it's all about the sale of a house, I really push my clients who are interested in selling their house that are in the military to keep it as an independent property, because the value, having that line of credit down the road is just so helpful. Owning one house could be your kid's college fund. So.
See, money is something it's bad for a lot of people because they don't see it unless the paper form of it is right there in front of them in their hand. And, obviously we're in a time where everything is like here and now. All of the service providing industries are all worried about time, saving people more time. And it's kind of the same thing with money. It's like if the return isn't right there in front of some people, like instantly, they just do not see that value in it, when the value could be incredibly more than they probably even imagined. And it's just, how do we get people to see that? And how do we help them understand wealth creation more? There's some people that are listening right now that hear this. They're like, oh, he's talking about real estate. He doesn't have 400 properties like Grant Cardone. Like, he's probably a guppy. And it's like, you don't understand that these things take years and years and years to develop. And then you start getting into the compounded income, which is when you become filthy freaking rich. But it takes these years of like slowly buying more properties, getting creative, as you've clearly done. I think that's one of the best things about real estate, is just how creative you kind of are allowed to be to get what you need done, right? So and I know you're working on things, so maybe this will lead into the War Room Mastermind stuff, but like, how are we getting people to understand wealth creation, financial literacy? How can we promote that more besides like, podcasts and telling people to go to this, I've seen Dean's content, or Dan, DeGrassi. Yeah, he's got some good content, but it's like, how do we get people to go past what they saw on YouTube and put it to action?
Yeah. Well, the biggest error is people have to have the want or the interest in doing so. It's almost like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, like, because the people who see different strategies or opportunities, it just makes sense to them. But for those who aren't there mentally, they don't see it. It could be black and white to someone else. So the biggest thing from these masterminds and workshops and talking to more people, doing the goals thing, what do you want out of life? We've all probably heard it in some area, but it's like, what is it that you want? Okay. Like, okay, this is how I want financial freedom. I want more time with my kids. I want to make more money, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So now we have an umbrella to work under. It's going to give us those opportunities to your standard that you're okay doing. Okay. Some people don't like multi-level marketing or network marketing. That's $1 billion industry. So some people think, they have their opinions on that. And that's one of the hurdles that I hear often is, I want more time with my kids. I want to work from home. I want to make as much money as I want. Okay, boom, here's network marketing. Nope, it's a scheme. And it's like, okay, to each their own. So now that we've identified that, what else can we do? A standard will help you achieve those goals. And once you get people thinking about that, I think then people are more open into those wealth things. And just because we say successful and wealth, we don't mean having billions in the bank. It's nice to be financially comfortable, whether it's, you're making 10 grand a month or even 5 grand a month. Successful days is, are you living life how you want, your terms and your values, and are you getting what you want out of it? Mm-hmm. If you're able to eat, feed your kids, and enjoy life however you want, or whatever values are, then essentially you're successful, because you're not waking up every day hating life, going to a place that you can't wait to walk out of most of the day for the next 40, 50 years of your life,
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you have two daughters, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I have a son, and I can attest to what you just said. We're talking about wealth. We're talking about financial freedom. And I'll be honest, I'm not anywhere near my money goals, and I won't be for a long time. But if you do not visualize the things that you want, if you don't talk about them openly like we are and having discussions about how we can level up, you're never going to reach those things. So to put somebody down for talking about wealth and success and all this and that, you're only limiting yourself that much more by convincing your mind that you're not capable of whatever that person's trying to put out. And it's like you're already limiting yourself. So, yeah, I love that you pointed that out because, I don't get a lot of feedback from people that listen to this show who think anybody that have come on has been any sort of like phony or anything like that. But the general populace, I feel like you get that a lot just with anybody that's a naysayer, just like, oh, well, he doesn't have 10 Lamborghinis. He's bullshit. He's not rich. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And it's like, y'all don't see how wealth is really built, because wealth is built behind closed doors where most people don't see it until it becomes 10 Lamborghinis, right? So, yeah, but
Well, even then, a person. No, I'm glad that you touched on that, because a person, I mean, there's a difference between like disposable income and living life to like the tax requirements and stuff like that, where athletes do have to buy those, purchase it, but that's a set. Like, that's depreciated as soon as it drives off the lot. You want to buy assets and things that are either help make you money, or, buy the beater truck that, cost whatever place and you drive it around, I know. Anyway.
No. Yeah, you're right. I think one of the things that is important is always making sure you try to pay yourself first, right? And that kind of ties into what you're saying about living life on your own terms and getting what you deserve back from life. And what I was going to kind of transition into there was just the fact that how can we get somebody that, say they transitioned, they didn't prepare well getting out of the military? Like for myself, I thought I was prepared, and I still ended up homeless twice before I got like fine again. And it was through a process of 3 years of trying to track down and be with my son, right? But how about like for people that transition out and they want more, but they didn't sort of get what they needed coming out of the military, and now they're kind of a step or two behind because of the transition. So maybe they're in a job that they can't stand. So now like their mental, their health, like all that is kind of like down, but they want to try to get into real estate. They don't have a lot of money saved up. Like, where do they turn first? Where do they need to go? Where would be like the first step of getting them sort of on the right track into something that they would be happier doing?
Yeah, no, okay, so the before you can start making moves in any direction, no matter what it is, you have to figure out your why. I was hoping that I wouldn't have to talk about this, but it's just it's across the board, something everybody has to either remember or learn or just keep, because it gets hard. I mean, like, it's not like, okay, I'm putting effort in some work in this one area and then, like goals will come and achieve themselves. It's like, no, especially if you're working a 9 to 5, or if you don't have that stable income, you got to like make sure everything that you do is a income producing activity. Like, you have some type of return on your time for it to be worth it. So, and when it starts getting hard and people start saying no and no and no over and over again, and people don't have support and the things that it's like, you can sit there and be like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. My house is getting, the bank is calling the loan due on my truck. I'm in real estate. I can't have my truck seized. I'm going into foreclosure. I'm getting out of a bad divorce. I'm out of the military. I have no stable income outside of a disability. How am I going to catch up all these different things, prepare for summer for my daughter, and not have a strong why? Like, these things, when it's really hard, when the world feels like it's weighing down on your shoulders, your why is what's gonna help you like press it off and keep going. Because other than that, you can lose faith and give up. And I know people who have felt helpless have felt that way before. So understanding why you're doing something really is what's going to help. I've done a 7 levels deep exercise with people before. It's, you start off by asking, what does being successful mean to you? And then you actually break that down 7 levels deep. And, so like, what does it mean to be successful to you? Okay, well, for me, it means that I have financial freedom and I'm able to live life on my terms. Okay, why is it important for you to live life on your terms? It's important for me because if I'm not living it to my terms, I'm living it to somebody else's, and I'm out of control, and I don't have control of the outcome that I want in my life. Okay, why is it important of your outcome? Well, because I know exactly where I want to be, and if I allow someone else to control that speed, then I won't be as far or as well off as I want. And then once you take that 7, for everybody it'll be different. And for mine, it essentially comes down to, if I'm not a good role model, if I don't have a purpose to work every day, if I'm not a good reference or role model to my daughters, then I really have nothing to work for. And then what am I really working for? So it'll be different to everybody. What does it mean to be successful to you? And you take that 6 levels down, say, why is that important? Why is that important? Why is that important? And then that's your why. And then once everything starts moving, you generate as far as what it is that you want to do, whether it's lingerie design or real estate. There's so many resources out there and mentors out there for you to utilize, people sharing their experiences. And that's why we actually use the masterminds, because it's a room of people from diverse backgrounds and experiences sharing a common goal, which is growth. And then for everybody's unique scenario, people share their resources, experiences to help people grow together. And that's what's super cool about it.
That sounds
so.
very
If you're
familiar
transitioning
too.
from you're not prepared, buckle up, because you're going to be hitting the ground running. Because I'm sure you're going to want to make a massive impact as quick as possible. Just to let you know, it's not going to be as quick as you think it is. It's going to be work, and to get through it. And the best way to get through it is to remember your why and slowly add up.
Mm-hmm. And don't have any expectations of the civilian world at all. It's brutal.
Yeah.
It will shred you apart if you expect the whole world to just carry you through the rest of your life. Like the next 60, 70, 80 years of your life, the civilian world's not going to do shit for you. That's why we're here together. That's why I started this podcast. That's why you started having the masterminds. What got you sort of, obviously you had a lot of probably life experiences that brought you into the mastermind world. But what gave you the push to go out and say, you know what, I want to start my own. I want to create one for this veteran community. Where did that all stem from?
Well, it stemmed from being in the service industry. Like I said, I've always been there for people. And while learning my own personal development skills or improving my own personal development and entrepreneurial ventures, I would share those with people as time and experiences went on. And then I came across a Tony Robbins and Dean Graciosi mastermind on how to facilitate and organize mastermind, learning their tools and to do that. As soon as I did that, I was like, I know exactly what I need to do with this, because the last 6-7 years of my life has been like, it was like a Rolodex. Saw all these things rolling in front of me, previous experiences, conversations, feelings. And I was like, I know exactly where I want to take this stuff. I'm already kind of doing it in and out of real estate. As people call me for advice. I'm going to start doing this in an organized fashion let me tell you, I've seen so much support from people at the USO, Wounded Warrior Project, entrepreneurs in the local area. This has been one of the most rewarding and supporting adventures I've been on in such a short time frame. People make 6 figures in real estate. That's cool. But I keep talking about sense of fulfillment. I have gotten way more sense of fulfillment doing this in the short time frame that I've been in real estate and the other ventures that I've been trying to do for my own personal reasons. Like all the success books, all the things of like, listen, if you want to become wealthy, it talks about serving others and personal development. And then as I'm going all these other things or learning these skills, I'm like, whoa, I'm doing all this stuff for myself. And this is I was an instructor in the Navy teaching submarine escape. I got my college in workforce education and development. Once I attended that mastermind, I got that certificate. It was like what we're supposed to be doing. I'm going to be serving and helping others in the form of service and helping others.
I kind of had the same exact, I don't know what the word is called. Sort of the same thing kind of hit me when I rebranded my podcast. So I actually had a podcast before this, and it was it was the second time I was homeless. I launched it from a smartphone, just kind of to show people the back against the wall mentality that I had at the time. Watching a lot of Gary Vee at the time. So I was just kind of on this fucking attitude of like, I'm going to show people that anything can be done. But what I was going to say to that is what led to me starting the Veteran Growth Podcast was sort of the exact same thing of just, I'd experienced stuff that was just powerful in life that taught me that I needed to be doing more to service the veteran community. Like I'm a fully able and capable veteran right now, breathing with all my limbs. Like I need to be doing more basically. And so it's cool that happened to you. I was just going to say too, episode 7, I had Matthew Sanchez on, who has a nonprofit where he's sending 22 veterans to Tony Robbins events because of how much Tony Robbins impacted his life when he went during a hard time in his transition. So I know it's a big thing. I know that they can be, just like anything else in the world, like you guys have got to be selective on which ones you're finding and going to. However, they can be very life-changing. I listen to the Tony Robbins podcast, and the reason being is because he puts a lot of his mastermind content on the podcast. And it's funny because like people say, you know, like sometimes religious people will be going through a rough time and they'll say like, oh, I opened the Bible and just went to the first thing I saw and it stuck with my life so perfect right then and there. And it's like, that's what Tony Robbins podcast does for me. Anytime I'm stumped on business, what my next move should be, you know, what I'm doing wrong and right, I'll just put on his podcast and he just answers life questions so perfectly on like just how to get to your next level. One thing I was going to say too, you said, you know, serving others is so important to fulfillment, right? But I've been getting into the science of gratitude. There was a study that was just recently put out where it is now scientifically proven that practicing gratitude will enhance your fulfillment in life. It will ultimately make you feel more successful in life. So I would say like just staying grateful for everything mixed with that serving others would be probably 2 of your biggest highlights if you're trying to figure out how to make it in this world. Right. And so I'm glad that you pointed that out. That's cool. So tell me a little bit about your plans coming up for, it is called the Military War Room Mastermind, right? I want to get a little bit more about that so people listening can understand what they might need to do to get somebody involved. We're all trying to help each other at given time. So where can people kind of go if they think that sounds interesting, if they have some ideas they want to bounce off other vetpreneurs, what I like to call them, or maybe just they want to go get more real estate advice from you and in the minds of you. So where can we start to look? I know there's a couple links and stuff, but give us some more details on how we can stay in touch with you, the War Room Mastermind, all that stuff. Yeah,
awesome. Right now, Instagram is the best way to stay tuned and to contact me directly, LaFrance Life. And we have militarywarroom.com/affiliate page. The idea, so the Military War Room is for active duty military and veterans to learn the tools and strategies from Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi in a format to improve, whether it's leadership skills, your relationship, or to start a business. So you can really grow any aspect of your life, all right, for both people in and out of the call. And so what we're doing here is we are organizing virtual masterminds for people who are long distance, who want to still participate and want to come organize as a bigger group. We can do that. It's as easy as contacting me and say, hey, I got myself interested. Do you have a group that's interested? Or, hey, I got 15 people interested. Let's do one special to us. And then we'll special their goals. You know, we'll do like an initial phone consult to see what everybody wants to achieve out of it. Or if it's like a company and they're trying to focus on something, then we'll take it that level too. Do one-on-ones or group virtual ones, or we'll do it in person. Whether it's local or near you, we can work something out where we can get people over to host these for you. But the Military War Room is like the new brand mastermind that I'm doing for military brother and sisters. And Instagram is the best place right now.
Instagram is the best place for a lot of stuff. That's how I am. I tell everybody, like, just follow me on Instagram. You'll get everything you need there. It's easier. Yeah. Well, I am really excited to see how it all comes out. I know there aren't many similar things out there like this. And one of the things we've been talking about a lot lately on this show, in fact, the last 2 episodes, has been the concept of community and keeping up with a tribe mentality. And, you know, seeing things like this where it's another opportunity for veterans to connect. But one thing that I think is a little bit more exciting about this one, and it's not anything negative, it's just the fact that it's not like another nonprofit that is seeking something, you know, funding to help, like, you know, PTSD stuff. It's something more in depth. Like, it's a closer look into the actual person on what they really need in life to become happier, more fulfilled, and to have possibly more time with their family and kids and stuff. So not that those are bad, you know, we just want to make sure we're providing every sort of aspect we can to the community. And so seeing a diverse sort of creation come up is really exciting. So, I'll be watching you, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I want to touch base on is because I feel like I've seen so much advertising now, and I feel everybody is saying the same thing, like financial freedom, value, fulfillment, you know, do what you want, or like, and then you talk about PTSD, and then the 22 people who kill themselves every day, veterans. It's like there's so much more than just those things, because it's almost like you're going to start to see these things so much that you're going to become numb to it. Oh yeah,
I think it's already started.
Yeah. So the biggest things with these is it's not just like, okay, I'm going to go to this workshop and learn how to improve myself. That mindset right there is already what's going to be getting in your way in growth. But it's, you know, speaking to a combat veteran and a cancer survivor who does paint pouring for commissions and hosts for people, and seeing how she was able to take all these things that she's learned in the military through her combat experience, her cancer surviving experience, and implementing them in passion, which is paint pouring for commissions, making a profitable business and life out of that right there. And it's what I really like about sharing this with military people, because we've already acquired so many skills, mindsets, and attributes from doing that kind of job. If we were to just tweak a little bit and apply it to these other areas, some people drowned to become divers. You know what I mean? I've seen people drown for something that they didn't even know. You know, like, oh, trust me, you want to be a Navy diver. They have a great life. They're drowning in pool week. You know what it is. So if you are willing to drown yourself, break your ankle going to buds, or even, you know, stay up all night to learn how to shoot to become an MA, you can learn these simple things to become a profit, whether it's in time value or monetary value. So in these things, we learn how to say, okay, how is this going to help me with my PTSD? Well, maybe it's not that you need help with PTSD. Maybe it's that you need help with every other area of your day to find grace and enjoyment and gratitude that it makes living with this particular area better. You know, I don't have PTSD. You know, maybe I'm a beaten child. I've never been in combat, so I can't even imagine what it's like to experience some of that stuff. But having these conversations and experiences with a group of people, and when it comes down to it, the statement is similar, then there's something to take from that.
And you're not wrong in what you said. I'm actually kind of glad that you brought that up, because it's a huge thing that's been in my head lately too. And when we get into the topic of PTSD, then you also get into the topic of like all the gray matter in your brain, basically. And what you're bringing up is crucial, because if you start to like accept that what you have is what you have, right? Like whatever you're going through, it's happening. Now, if you can just break away from that for a split second and say, okay, how's my sleep schedule looking? How's my diet? How's my physical exercise going this week? And if you realize those, like all these very basic things are lacking, that's, you know, you're kind of missing the jump there. It's like, you've got to worry about the basics as much as you can until the basics are covered. And then you'll be able to sort of just keep leveling up. And it's like, yeah, you said, like, you don't have it. I don't suffer from it. You know, I think higher powers every day, and I cannot imagine when people are going through things related to it. And so it's hard because, you don't know everybody's situation, but at the same time, you know, like the listener has got to understand that it's like nobody truly can help you to the core, because nobody truly knows exactly what you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. But what you have to understand is it's you and this thing that's causing you uncomfort, your discomfort and stuff.
Right.
And so it's like, if you could just try your best to focus on the things that folks like Robert are talking about that will help in the long run, they will. It's proven by science. Then you'd be better, and so it's tough. And, it's definitely not our place to sit here and tell people how to live. But at the same time, you and I have both been through plenty in life to share our experiences and what we've done to help ourselves. And that's the best we can do, I think, right?
Right. My biggest things that will help everybody too is like reminding or remembering that it's 100% accountability, no matter what it is. You got to be 100% in everything that you do, whether it's your relationship, your work, or your goals, whatever that is, because then not only does that give you more control, but it's like, that you did everything that you need to do in order to accomplish this goal, or know that it's time to try a different method or strategy. Mm-hmm. So keeping that 100% accountability is going to almost save so much headache most of the time. It'll allow you to control your controllables, and then removing that ego, getting your ego out of the way, because that is a success inhibitor. If you can't humble yourself and try something new, or just remove yourself to, like I said, try something new, that is going to be a monumental learning curve for you to just, get out of your own way.
Yeah, I agree. I think that your ego is what's going to stop you from being able to be transparent with yourself initially. And like you were just saying, you got to turn the mirror on yourself before you can become any bit of what your definition of success is. And the reason being, if you cannot be truthful to yourself, then your mind is always going to conquer. It's always going to win. You will never be in control of your mind. It's going to be the opposite, because your ego is going to be holding you back on a very tight leash, right? And not having an ego isn't what we're saying. Like you can have an ego, but it has to be the right kind of ego. Like it can't, I'm not even going to get into it, but if you have an attitude about trying new things that you don't know anything about, that's the wrong kind of ego, basically. And you got to lose that, because then you'll be able to see yourself for who you truly are. Like when I was able to turn the mirror on myself, I realized how big of a piece of scum I had basically become. But it's what I needed to get better and to change, right? So
yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely. And there's a difference between confidence or an ego. Like if you know that if you have removed that, you have acquired these sets of skills, and you've taken this massive action to get where you needed to go, and that worked, and that's accomplished. Now you feel confident. You're very proud of that. Totally cool. What can I keep out? But it's different when, I'm not doing that, or I'm going to look, the ego part, whether it's high or low, that conscious level.
If you guys were ragging on his nails right now, then you probably got an ego, because you don't even know what it was for.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about these. Yeah.
I figured I'd do you justice before, because this is going to be on YouTube. And I was like, man, if I don't say why his nails are painted, all those people with egos, that's all they're going to be hearing the whole like episode.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's got his nails painted. We can't listen to him. No, but I saw on your Instagram though why you did it, so it's a really cool cause.
Yeah. No, I'm supporting my friend's business, Color Street Nails, Polish and Poised with Stephanie Wilcox. So you get their nail polish strips. They're like 98% drill nail polish strips. She brought a few to our meeting last week. They worked out. So
slick, you don't even know they're there.
Oh man, I've been getting so many. I sent her 10 referrals putting these things on. I couldn't, it's ridiculous. But it matches my tattoo.
Too, right?
What really got me, yeah. What's that?
Nice. She's a veteran as well, right? I think. Or no?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's a veteran. What did she do? It's one of those things where she didn't actually shoot guns. She was like fire controlman, I think.
Cool.
I don't know. I was a diver, so I don't know all the ins and outs or whatever. But she was Navy. Yeah, and she's veteran-owned business. And then also, if you ever decide to do sit-ups with your hands on your knees, don't look, because I'm watching my hands go up and down my knee with nail polish, and I'm like, that just is not right. That's the sight I'm used to seeing. I need to get these things off. But
I was just, one of these when I'm doing
Grab
your head, guys. Yeah. Oh man, no, that's cool though. I figured I'd help you out there. I was like, man, I know somebody's gonna be sitting here watching this episode thinking you're, judging you for something, I'm sure. But no,
Well,
yeah,
to the level I have, it doesn't matter. I can do what I want. So
exactly.
my mom always told me that when I grow up and make as much money and live the life that I want, I can do what I want. So
Yeah, and that's how it should be. I think that's you know, part of becoming a success is learning how to not care what others think truly. And a lot of people say they don't care what people think, but they really do because it's affecting their life and it has affected their life. So I say everybody should be able to do absolutely whatever they want to do. I've considered like walking in public naked before. If I wouldn't get arrested, I would have probably done it. Just some days you don't feel like
yeah.
clothes or something. Who knows? But anyway, man, it's a pleasure to talk to you. If anyone out there is looking for their first purchase, their first home buy, if they think they want to get into real estate, if you've heard, all this stuff about wholesaling, if you've seen a video on YouTube, anything out there, Rob would be a great guy to go to answer any of those questions. If you guys want to get involved with his Military War Room Mastermind stuff, I highly encourage it. I think that if you get out of your comfort zone and you realize that there's other veterans out there, hell, probably in the same city as you, going through the same shit, and they don't feel like they belong either. And then, 5 more of the same types of people show up. You're probably going to enjoy life a whole lot better after that event. So I would encourage to just take that step, get out of your comfort zone a little bit. If you're addicted to something, put that shit off for 2 fucking days and try to help yourself out, Just get out and do it. Just do it. You have got to take that first step. Nobody can force you into it. But once you do it, I promise you, you won't come back mad at us that we encouraged you.
And I want to add to what you're talking about, like people, like when you find that group of people to start growing with, like I thought the last few years, I thought I was surrounded by people that I wanted to be like, the people I thought supported me. And then I hit to a certain point and started really connecting and meeting with people where that was genuine, and I really saw the difference. So a lot of this, the biggest thing that I've learned over this game of life is having to go through these experiences and then coming across what actually are, and getting that ability to look back and, wow, like this is true support, this is true friendship, this is true, these are the types of people that I genuinely want to be around, and then look out for my support. What I thought I had before was not it.
Then you can see the bullshit too from a mile away.
Yeah. It's almost like, I'd hate to say it's easy, because almost like nothing is easy, but after going hard through the mud for so many years to get to these positions, it's like, oh wow, I'm in the water now. It's easy. It's simpler. It's less effort.
How do you get folks to understand that what they went through in the military is one of the toughest things that anybody can ever endure? And how do you get folks to understand how powerful their mind really is? Because no matter who you are, if you're a veteran, you've already endured something that was bigger than yourself, and you've proven yourself in that aspect. So how do we get people to stop being so afraid of trying to become something great in the civilian world as well? Last question, and we can,
Oh yeah, no, I can do this all day. This is why I started transitioning. How do we do that? Well, you do that. There's a tool. It's a 4-step tool where you decide to make that decision. Okay, no matter what it is, I'm gonna put it in a nutshell, but it's that you make that decision. Okay, and then you take massive action. So when you start to produce results, you get that confidence, and then you don't get that disgruntled feeling, and getting that experience and that confidence that like reinforces your ability to do it. That's like, it generates a wheel, and then as it fuels the fire. So one decision, you start taking massive action, you get the results that's going to fuel it, and it's just going to keep going. The biggest obstacle is when people say, I'm going to start working on this one goal, but I'll start it next. It's like there's so many obstacles, and the next thing you know, it's like, okay, I'm going to check my email, I'm going to fold my clothes because I can control this, I can control that. When you make a decision and you go balls to the wall, for example, I was going to host this Military War Room Mastermind on Memorial Day weekend, like 20 days from I decided that I took these skills and I was like, I'm going to do this. I made flyers. I made online stuff. I was on a podcast. I went into a bunch of different venues. I organized who was going to hold it. And then, like I said, if you weren't following me, some criteria changed a few days before the event, which is why we didn't hold it. But I gained so much from those 20 days that I went balls to the wall to try to organize and host an event that multiple people told me that I couldn't do. And the reason why it didn't happen wasn't because of anything that I did or didn't do. It was because criteria changed at the end. And whether you're buying a house or trying to set up an event, if it doesn't go to your criteria, you walk away.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So just like anything else, if this doesn't align with what I want, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
So,
well, and it's not like it made you quit either. It's not. It was like something that happened, but it's all still in full effect. And what you were saying about just putting things to action, it's going to create sort of a driving a car scenario of things that you feel uncomfortable with now. If you just persistently go after your goals and not worry about how uncomfortable you feel, within a small amount of time of you working hard, these things become second nature. Hosting a podcast was nuts for me to think about just, barely a year ago. And, now the show's being listened to in over 10 countries. It's being played over 100 times every time I drop an episode, which I think is insane. I don't follow the analytics, but just to see the numbers and just to feel the difference in where I was a year ago with the show, it's insane. And that's the same for anything out there. I mean, you practice reading books, you're going to be a good reader. You practice riding a bike, you're going to be able to ride a bike. If you practice real estate, you're going to be able to invest in fucking real estate. So I appreciate you coming on, dude. It's been a really good talk. I hope that, we can align our goals one day in the future and potentially get into some properties together. I have sort of a very good offer for anybody that's investing. I don't have a lot of capital saved up. So I'm kind of offering private owners that, if they buy like a quadplex or greater, something like that, then I'm trying to manage that place and live there, and they just collect their check. So I'm just kind of like, I keep working on LinkedIn, just throwing things out there to these, different owners and stuff, because just like you and a lot of other people, I have very strict goals of where I want to be in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So we're going to make it happen one way or another.
Yeah. And in addition to what you just said, for you or anybody else who's listening, I've acquired a certain set of skills and I've come across all kinds of resources trying to figure out what works best with me. So whether it's investing in real estate or managing property or anything else, I have no problem being a reference or a phone call for you to help figure that out. Whether it's a free consultation to some like mentorship or some coaching, or if it's just like, hey, what do you think I should do? Let me be a sounding board to an extent. I can't have like thousands of people calling me, asking me what they want to do when they grow up, but there's definitely things available to help you figure that out so you can start taking the right steps forward and get that experience. Because just like you said, dude, it's been a year. It's June 17th is when I came back to the Virginia from Guantanamo Bay. And I got back into real estate. I started 3 other businesses, and then just trying to hit the ground running between all those things, trying to get the most back. And then, here I am, So where do you want to be a year from now, and what do you got to do to get there? And then reflect back, okay, I'm a year ahead. What have I gained? What things have I read? What skills have I learned? And then just do it every single day, because it's already June. January was a few months ago, and now here we are halfway through 2019.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing stuff. I appreciate everything that you brought onto this show. I was thinking about one last thing I was going to say, and it just slipped my mind. But either way, I'm going to be tagging all of your links and everything into the episode notes. And, we are going to be out on pretty much all major platforms. But I do appreciate you taking the time for coming on, man. And really look forward to, like I said, just watching you over the years. Hopefully I'll be able to come to some of these War Room Masterminds. Maybe we can get some people that are interested in doing podcasts, and we'll throw a podcast workshop into one of those suckers. Something to provide some value back to what you're doing as well. So I appreciate it. For everybody listening, I certainly appreciate you guys as well. Thank you guys for always supporting the show. Yeah. And make sure if you guys know a veteran out there who's interested in getting into real estate, or Anybody out there that's heard about network marketing companies or multi-level marketing, I'm your guy for that as well. Robert probably could talk to you too. One thing I wanted to touch on, I forgot when you were saying that, is with the whole network marketing thing, is any sort of business can be bad. Network marketing is just a business model. Doesn't make every network marketing company bad. And so that's one thing to consider for those that are skittish on multi-level marketing. But Robert, I'll leave it to you. Yeah.
Business model, it drives me crazy. It's like, if you look at a typical business model, you have the owner of a company, whether it's a franchise or he built it up for himself, and he has employees that operates the business, and then you have the consumer that comes and buys the product or service. So whether it's a franchise, I mean, the McDonald's collects a percentage of every McDonald's that's out there. If you're who starts your own franchise, you're going to be collecting a percentage of every, you know what I mean? It's a triangle, but it's a structure of which positioning,
top down. Yeah. And I'll tell everybody right now, the network marketing company I'm involved with is probably the only network marketing company that you don't actually have to sell anything to make money. They teach you a skill that you learn that makes you money from your phone. And so it's really cool. I'm not promoting it at all. I'm not even going to say what it's called. But yeah, Robert, like I said,
you have my interest, now you have my curiosity or something like that.
We can talk off the record at any time. Yeah, I would be happy to give you some info. It's harmless, but it's going to be my vehicle that gets me into real estate, actually, because like I said, I don't have capital, but this is getting me my capital. So I got a plan, as everybody should. So, hey, make sure everybody listening, just one last thing, please, like I said, be sure to tag a veteran, share the show with a veteran. They don't have to be suffering. Just get the community that full of veterans involved in this show, because not so much for me, but just the amount of value we're getting from these guests that we're having on, just like Rob and everybody who's gone before him. I've never had an episode where I didn't learn a ton of shit. And so tag a friend, share it with somebody if you enjoyed the episode, and definitely be sure to follow Robert. Like I said, I'll have all of his social stuff down below on the show notes. And thank you guys so much for tuning into another wonderful episode of the Veteran Growth Podcast. I almost fucked up the name. Robert, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Tell your little ones I said hello, and we will be talking to you soon, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Be safe, everybody. Stay blessed.